What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Ladies, Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Starting to lose my voice a little bit here at the tail end of the week, so I'm going to keep it pretty low key compared to, well, some people will appreciate that. Some people will be like, why does Eric have such low energy? And they'll reach out to me and say nice things, which is a nice change for once. But you know what? Regardless, I'm looking forward here to this Friday 10-game slate. Think there's a lot of money to be won. Going to be a little bit, no, the word isn't cautious, but there's no lock that exists here on the slate. A big part of why I came up with leans, likes, locks when this was originated is that I don't want to give you bad information. A lean kind of gives me a way out to be able to talk through the process of a bet, something I might bet, and then not fire it up. A like gives me an opportunity to show you something that gets a stamp of approval but isn't a smash. And a lock, that means it's a unit, maybe a little bit more. Obviously, Joker didn't come through the other night, but locks have been doing really well for the last 4 weeks. Been running a pretty good streak here, even at 6-3 on the last 9. Again, the whole goal is that we make money on this program, and that's what I'm here geared towards. And in that spirit, I'm not going to give you bad information. Doesn't mean that I don't have plays that I like, because there are plays that do exist across the industry for tomorrow that I want to be taking advantage of at places like BetMGM, which we'll talk about later. It's only if you're 21 and over, and if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. But bet $5, get $158 at the link below. Ridiculous deal, ridiculous opportunity to get exposure to a new sports book. You deposit $10 or more, bet $5 on anything, get 158 in bonus bets. Ridiculous deal. Again, 21 and over, gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's get ourselves to the picks here, though. 10 games. I'm going to fly a little bit here because a lot of people just want my picks. I get it. You don't want to hear me explain it, even though that's the most important part to me, is trying to teach you how to go about doing things to pay attention to. What are the injuries on the day? What can change throughout the day? And then hopefully I can get myself after this week back into Lindy's locks update, which I got a couple in last week. Haven't been able to do. Well, I got one in Monday as well. Want to talk you through the process of the bets. You can find that over on my X at Eric Lindquist. That is where you follow me there. But producer Jacob, he's lamenting his Boston Celtics at the moment. Boo. Boo. Except for I didn't bet that game at all. Even though I liked Giannis to smash and I didn't bet the game. Whatever. It's math, friends. Let's talk through a little bit of that. Producer Jacob, better times ahead. Let's get to the picks. We begin our boarding walk here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia. Taking on the Sacramento Kings, friends. And yes, I missed that show. I need to see that show like now. Always sunny. Just always good. If you get sick, you basically have Charlie Day's voice. But anyway, we've got the Sacramento Kings. We've got the Philadelphia 76ers here in this spot. Obvious news, Joel Embiid getting eerily close towards those 65 games that you have to play to win an MVP. Hopefully you got those SGA tickets in. I've been talking about it for probably 2 weeks now, where this is something that had potential. This was going to be a huge hiccup in the road, and SGA, as long as this team keeps chugging away, I mean, they are just they are a wrecking ball, especially if they get this kind of production from Jalen Williams. But we're talking about Sacramento on the other side, which got a little bit of production from their guy, Keegan Murray, here of late. Have you watched him play basketball? The Iowa product last season, well, he set some three-point records as a rookie, even though he was kind of looked at as a quote-unquote bust because, oh, it was volume. Oh, it was in this situation, that situation. How about this fucking situation? 13 for 17 and 11 for 18 from the field his last two. 5 for 9 from 3, 3 for 7 from 3, shooting only 37.2% from 3, but obviously has the confidence of his team to go out, knock down those shots, and it's helping out Domantas Sabonis' assist rate here the last couple, because that's something that was on the decline here when you had Mr. De'Aaron Fox just kind of, well, he's kind of been hiding in the corner from time to time. Did anybody else think it was weird watching the Charlotte game and it was all Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis two-man games? And I know that was coming off of two really bad teams. Detroit, Charlotte, they blew them both out of the water, is what it is. They needed that coming off of that embarrassing Pelicans spot at home. But as I was watching and taking that game in, it was just at least interesting to me to see De'Aaron Fox a little bit disinterested sitting in the corner in a lot of those possessions. But hey, you need to kind of build up the rapport with a Keegan Murray with some of these other guys. However, as much as I want to talk about Sacramento and, for what it's worth, Kevin Huerter questionable. If he doesn't play, it's Chris Duarte. Neither of those guys are going to be usage enough to cut into the rates of either of the stars there. So as I'm projecting out some of the props, not going to overreact to the Sacramento side. But I'm going to react over here to the Philadelphia side, because I felt one of the sharper plays that I was on in the course of the last week or so was the under of 32.5 points for Tyrese Maxey. We got closing line value. It closed to 31.5, and some people said it's hard recommending unders the night before on this program because, well, there's a lot of news that can go away from the guy. If the guy himself gets ruled out, it's void either section of it, so it doesn't affect you. But if injury news that's unforeseen shows up on the other side of it, you can get burned by it. So sometimes you want to have a wait and see approach. Unders are obviously a big part of OddsShopper and the positive EV tool because people just generally like to bet overs, even though we want to just make money. That being said, Tyrese Maxey gets the overtime with 5 fouls, has 32 points, hits a 3, and then fouls out of the game immediately. It was pain and suffering personified, and that Jokic otherwise had a pretty good day outside of those 2 disasters. Anywho, we are looking at the exact inverse here going up against Sacramento because Sacramento, they're not playing crazy pace, but nearly 100 possessions per 48 minutes, 11th in pace in the association. I think this is a good spot to look at an over on Tyrese Maxey coming off of a game where he definitely should have been going under in that spot of the 32.5. Now we get an adjusted 30.5 number plus. He played 11.5 minutes of that fourth quarter. They were nowhere near not letting him just go out, do that over and over. 42 minutes in regulation against Utah in a loss. 43 minutes, and that was with overtime. So there's a fouling out. Played over 40 in regulation again. Just saying, that's a big minutes allotment for 30+% usage coming down your pipeline. Long explanation here. We'll speed it up here. But Tyrese Maxey, over 30.5. Calling it a lean. I probably am going to end up firing this up, though, once all the books get the props. Just kind of want to be able to compare a little bit more, make sure that I'm paying the best price. Holy mother of God almighty. How many times can Indy and Atlanta play? Or like, I feel like we've had just these crazy supersonic matchups here of late, and this is yet another one. Yeah, but this one going down in hot Atlanta. Trae Young, he's going to be probable for this one, which is nifty. They get done playing Philadelphia. That's up in pace again. I just feel as though this is a matchup that we've seen more than the average bear over the course of the month and a half. I don't know. Maybe it's just whenever Indy's out there and you see these 254.5 totals, it's pretty wild, but gotta say, I'm at least trepidatious of this one, even though I haven't pulled the trigger on this play. Tyrese Halliburton is one of the major reasons that you're seeing this 24, 12, and 2 number on the over-under. And Atlanta, 23 and 13. You know what happens when people are just routinely, blindly betting overs in a spot like this? Eventually, what Vegas does, what the books do, again, Vegas, calling it Vegas, it's the books. They're everywhere. They're in every state. But we're talking unders end up being the prudent play because people will see stuff like that and they're going to recommend it. And then you're going to see 65% of the money on overs and it's going to be ridiculous. But I think this is a spot to be gearing towards the under. Number 1, Tyrese Halliburton. You're taking one of the best 3 offensive players off the floor. And number 2, you at least have an opportunity for Indy to try. And I'm going to just say this. Try and slow down some of the pace here, considering Andrew Nembhard not looking all that good here in his second season. It's been a little bit strange, trepidatious, having to play him minutes. Again, that Washington spot, 1 for 8 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. You got TJ McConnell, who's been outplaying him, and TJ McConnell kind of outplays dudes off the bench all the time. That's something he's done throughout his career, no matter where he's been. Hi, Philadelphia. But I think the under, 254.5. That is where I'm going to be leaning here in this spot. Think I might pull the trigger again. Maybe the public takes this one back up a little bit. This is kind of similar to that Cleveland where it's like, all right, we want to buy in at the low at 2.5, and then you knew it was going to buoy back to 3.5. This is one that got bet down a half point that I think buoys back because, again, public is going to see this. 255.5. I think that's where I would definitely be firing this up on the under. Producer Jacob, well, we have a like play here. This is going to be exciting, but producer Jacob also just threw in a great tidbit. 20% of the games there, 20% of the games for the Pacers have been against the Bucks or the Hawks. And again, those are the other 2 fastest paced teams. So love that tidbit. Wanted to throw that one in here. Again, that's an inflated number without Halliburton. Not that they can't get there, but again, math, we're looking at an under. We're not looking at an under here. Houston, -8, taking on Detroit. Another massive usage guy who will be absent. He's been absent. He's been absent here for a little while. Yeah, no, it sounds ridiculous when I talk. Cade Cunningham, he's out. It's that same left knee straight. He's going to be out for another 4 to 5, maybe 6 games. We'll see. But Killian Hayes, he's inserted into the starting lineup. And you know what Killian Hayes doesn't have? A whole hell of a lot of usage, which generally works in our favor. And obviously Houston, they are defensively stout with certain personnel. but certain personnel are out. Dylan Brooks, Tari Eason, two of their best long, lanky defenders, playing more minutes of Cam Whitmore, who's been kind of a blessing for this basketball team, showing up off the bench here in ways that, they weren't getting the production from Amen Thompson. Obviously top 5 pick, there's still equity in there and there's still time. Both him and Asar just haven't panned out as top 5 so far this season, but Cam Whitmore, this is a fun kid to watch. So keep him on your radar. If you're playing fantasy year long, I can't, all that shit. But either way, Houston friends, they are going to still try to grind it out, slow down the pace, Ime Udoka ball. Houston sitting at the 5th slowest pace in the entire NBA at 98.2 possessions per 48 minutes. But what am I really looking at here? I see Bojan under 20. I see Bojan Bogdanovic, Lord Bojan Bogdanovic under 20 points yet again here, because what just happened, what everybody wants to point and look at is what just happened. And here's the thing. They're playing in Detroit. Obviously, there's blowout concern every time. They just got blown out by San Antonio for F's sake. But I swear plenty of times I didn't feel like doing it there. But this is Bojan here, friends. He shoots over 40% from 3. Feel like he'll always shoot 40% from 3. And now you get extra usage going his way in a competitive spot. Only 14 to 13 shot attempts the last 2 games. And I say only with a little bit of an asterisk there, because obviously you would want a little bit more. I think it's coming, though. We saw 26 shot attempts alongside Cade Cunningham once upon a time here against Utah. That game obviously blew out, went to overtime. It was a whole thing. But as I look at the board for tomorrow, one of my favorite plays, top 3 here at the moment. It's not a lock, but a like play. 19.5 points. Again, my heart says lock. My head and the math and everything else. Oh, look at the little crown. It's adorable. Over 19.5 points, Lord Bojan. Let's talk BetMGM and Bojan. Friends, bet $5, get 158 in bonus bets instantly. Again, you want to get exposure to multiple sports books, and this is an easy, surefire way to build your bankroll over at BetMGM. You sign up at the link down below. You deposit $10 or more for anything that you want over at BetMGM. And you bet $5. Take $5 on Lord Bojan if it's the best available line over at OddsSharper. If you want to just fire anything blindly, that $5 is instantly going to turn into $158 in bonus bets. So I repeat, deposit $10 or more, bet $5, get 158 in bonus bets. You can sign up with the QR code right in front of you, or you can sign up at the link in the video description box below. Either one is great. Again, $158 in bonus bets to 58 because it's Super Bowl 58. Looking forward to NFL Lindy's recording tomorrow. Be on the lookout for it early in the morning. Going to be good stuff, friends. Firing it up for 6 NFL playoffs. Can't wait, friends. Only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the NBA picks we go. Ooh, a little bit of a cluster, you know what, as we are staring at Miami, going to Miami. Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin, questionable. Jimmy Butler, doubtful. Kyle Lowry and his big booty sitting in the doubtful category here as well. It's all right. I can respect the man. It is pear-shaped. It's a weird thing. Eric phrasing. Anyway, Orlando, Jalen Suggs, Caleb Houston, Chuma Okeke, Goga Batadze. These are not 4 guys that you would have thought would be routinely starting for this basketball team. But here you are with Gary Harris out, Franz Wagner out, Jonathan Isaac out. Those things kind of matter. And oh yeah, Wendell Carter questionable. Once again, very strange starting 5 to look at. Who did I omit? Obviously, Paolo Banchero, because you would expect him to start from now until eternity. Probably until the day he retires, because they would want him to retire in an Orlando jersey. He is freaking good. We don't talk about Paolo. No, not enough. We don't talk about him enough. He is freaking fantastic in his second season. How about this too? Orlando 25-12 against the spread. That's pretty useful, but you know what? Not a whole heck of a lot that I can do with it here. They're taking on Miami, and yeah, Miami's got injury news on their own, but this is just such a freaking efficient spot. If you maybe do anything, give me plus 130. Like, give me the dog if I had to do anything here, but props, they're not going to come out here for a while, so just buckle up. It's kind of what's happening a lot in the NBA. We'd have more injuries going down. That's what happens as the season progresses. And books don't want to hang out stale lines anymore because too many people have sports betting, and that is just fine by me. Again, everybody should have the opportunity to bet, but when you do, they're not going to hang out stale lines because people like me, we're going to recommend hammering those lines immediately. And again, it's really coming down to OddsShopper showing you in the positive EV tool, win your state, where you can attack these lines. Even fantasy optimizer sites, Prize Picks, Underdog, they do not want to hang stale lines. With props like this, you could stack unders, you could stack overs in some capacity, guess on that news, and probably have a positive EV day. So Orlando Moneyline, just a lean for the time being. Fun times. I know we want to get to more bets. Let's do that now. Actually, we're not going to do it yet. Golden State taking on Chicago. I thought we were going to the Clippers-Memphis game, which I obviously like something. But Golden State plus 3.5 here in Chicago. This is just super neutral site, pick 'em spot. You take them to Chicago. They're 3.5 point favorites. There's really nothing to mine out of here. Let's talk through a little bit of the process and some of the injuries that you have on the horizon. Draymond Green still not returning here, although he had that great press conference, talked about that the other day. But Moody, he's going to be out for this one, ended up straining his calf in that game. Dude just gets an opportunity and gets hurt. That's kind of a bummer. Gary Payton's still on the shelf. Chris Paul's still on the shelf. You're looking at Podziemski, who's still going to be starting for this team now. Klay Thompson, who could be in a flip-flop situation, rumor has it, for Zach LaVine. That'd be a weird one for me, because part of the superpower of Steph Curry is that you just know who your go-to guy is, and Klay Thompson isn't going to go out and create. Maybe Steph Curry does want to have somebody else go out and create and do some of their own stuff, but I doubt it. Really doubt it. You kind of want somebody like Klay Thompson who, for better or worse, when he's at his prime, that's what he is. He's the secondary guy who, you know, if he gets open, you can kick it to him. You got a 40+% three-point shooter, and life is easy. Life hasn't been that easy here for Golden State of late. We've attacked them quite a bit here. Obviously, 17-20 against the spread. Those are closing numbers. Keep that in mind. But what I really think is that Golden State, as much as I want to attack them on a daily basis, I can't really do it here with Chicago. Too many unknowns. Obviously, an overtime game that was really fun to watch was Zach LaVine finally getting back to some kind of form. Goes from shooting only 8 field goal attempts in an overtime game against Charlotte to 41 minutes in an overtime game against Houston the next game. So nice to see the usage come up. Obviously, Kobe White has been godsend for this team. And now they're pretty darn healthy, but pretty darn healthy in terms of what we have for Chicago and Golden State in their current iteration. No real surprises on the horizon. Creates an opportunity for books to set a pretty even spread. So under 229.5, the total is actually the thing that grades out the best. I actually, to give you full disclosure, Golden State plus 3.5 is the other one, but you know by now, I'm not betting Golden State very often in these kind of spots. Here is the game that I thought we were going to talk about first. Los Angeles taking on Memphis, and Memphis, shout out to them. Losing John Morant here for the season. They go to Dallas with Luka active, and they just put a spanking on them. Watched that entire game front to back, and I gotta say, I haven't seen a team like Memphis. They were spirited. It was like watching a good college basketball team that shares the ball, distributes. Obviously, Desmond Bane, who you generally think about as a three-point shooter, somebody who, obviously is going to create their own jump shot. He was taking it to the rack ad nauseum. It was pretty darn cool to watch. And again, they were short-handed there in that spot as well. Not just John Morant, who was on the shelf, but, Jaren Jackson Jr. had the night off. He gets back here, not on the injury report for Friday. So that is the major thing of note in this spot. But I don't really know how you don't just back this absolute train that is the Los Angeles Clippers here at the moment. Kawhi Leonard, he gets that contract locked in. He can play 38, 40 minutes a night if necessary. And the back-to-back there, Toronto ended up covering again. Was more than happy to not deal with that one, but Toronto covered for us against the Lakers somehow, some way, even though they got no calls in that fourth quarter. I went on that rant already. We don't need to relive that one, but as long as this Clippers team stays intact, there's going to be a juggernaut here coming towards the Western Conference Finals. And, people really, really were quick to react to the James Harden trade as it got off to a slow start. But once they put Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, don't really share the floor a lot, him and James Harden. This staggering has worked out so damn well for them. Love Norman Powell off the bench. Obviously, a piece Toronto would really like back here at the moment. And Daniel Tice. Don't want to even sleep on Daniel Tice as a backup center who can knock down threes. Gives a little bit of a different look than Zubats from time to time, although Zubats has been playing phenomenal basketball as well. You get me Memphis. Now they release, I keep wanting to say Bam Adebayo. That's not correct. Bismack Biyombo. There you go. Santi Aldama out. It is just a really interesting spot where Xavier Tillman, Jaren Jackson, that is your really only... Those are your only options here at center until Brandon Clark and or Steven Adams get their butts back, which is not coming anytime soon. So friends, Los Angeles -7 is going to move. I expect it to move to 7.5, 8 here at close. Again, this is a play that we're just backing the machine. 19 and 18 against the spread are the Clippers, but I think we've been on them more times than not in positive fashion. Actually, I can give you the exact record if you give me 1 second. Hold, please. Hold, please. 6-3. All right. Not nearly as crazy good as what I thought it was, but still 6-3. It's positive. Money Honey. Speaking of Money Honey, $14.95 weekly is now the going rate at OddsShopper. It was way too expensive before. Let's just be dead serious. And not that it wasn't worth it, because the tool was definitely worth it, but we felt as though we want more people to be able to enjoy what we're able to enjoy, and that is positive EV betting, a market-based approach, being able to compare all sports books across multiple mediums in whatever state you're in, whatever sports books are available to you, finding you the best line on every single play, finding that true odds, that break-even point that you can then take advantage of anything underneath it. That is called positive expected value. And, well, you compare sharp sports books. We also have fantasy optimizers to be able to help you guys out in the underdog and prize pick streets. We also have the parlay builders, so you can build out parlays at the sports book of your choosing. I'm telling you, $14.95 weekly now is a much better price, but it gets even better. If you want to try it out for a week, use promo code Lindy for 20% off, friends. Yes, Lindy. I can spell my own nickname. Good job, Eric. Great work. But Lindy, promo code Lindy gets you 20% off your first week or your first month. So either $12 to try it out for a week or $42 to try out your first month, and then just $14.95 a week after that. $49.95 monthly after that. Expert picks, Discord, premium tools. Check it all out, my friends. Back to the picks we go. Portland is getting, I got closing line value again. Plus 14 closes at plus 12.5. And then you get Malcolm Brogdon ruled out. And you know what happens? Oklahoma City goes up 81-46. And Anthony Simons got in foul trouble early. And it was basically over from there. It's over. It's over. Vince Carter style. Real ones know. The dunk contest extraordinary. It was that. There we go. Not the head chopping one. Anyway, Portland plus 13 taking on my Minnesota Timberwolves. You got rest for Rudy Gobert. You got rest for one Mike Conley. And obviously they should have just, I could not be happier with this Minnesota basketball team. I just couldn't be. It is so phenomenal to watch them compete. And obviously, was it a bummer to lose in overtime there to Boston? Sure it was. But they covered that double-digit spread, which was just a little bit asinine. Talked about that the other night as well. Felt good to be on the right side of that. I don't think there's a right side of this basketball game to be on when you take these teams into account. Portland's on the back-to-back, but Simon's early foul trouble, that was going to doom them from the get-go. Now you got Jalen Williams, Josh Giddey, SGA. Everybody's going ballistic. Giddey's actually 1 rebound away from a triple-double tonight. Didn't see that coming. Would have been... There's no jokes to be made, Josh Giddey. We're not going to say anything. Anywho, we got Portland, and you expect that maybe you get Malcolm Brogdon back. Maybe you don't. Jabari Walker, again, Ayton gets ruled out. I have no idea what to make of it. We're going to need an injury report here in the morning, but Bucks ended up hanging out 13 here to dry because it's Portland and Minnesota. They're beating everybody at home. They beat Boston. They beat Denver. They beat actual good teams, and now they get a curb stomping situation here up against Portland. I don't know what to tell you, friends, other than you got to pay attention because Rudy Gobert is yet again questionable. So it's one piece of news, and he kind of matters. Number 1 defensive center in the NBA so far this season. He ends up getting ruled out over 221.5 would look good. Again, if you just assume that that's 50-50, I think this number's a little bit low with Gobert in as well. So yeah, we're going to bet it. Over 221.5, we like it. Oh, I want to watch Victor Wembanyama play 30 minutes tonight again. I miss it. I need it. Inject it into my veins. Obviously, it wasn't his fault last time. He only played 21 minutes. That was an absolute shellacking that they ended up putting on Detroit. In Detroit, He went 0 for 4 for 3. It didn't matter. Puts up another triple-double. Victor Wembanyama. Or was that his first triple-double? Producer Jacob would know because he knows all things. Google that. Find the Google machine here for me quick. I think that was his first triple-double, though, of his career. I will double-check for you. I think it was the first time he ever hit double-digit assists, at least. I know that for a fact because I saw that the other day. Yes, it was his first triple-double of his career. Beautiful stuff from producer Jacob in the headset, making me feel smart. Anyway, Charlotte, plus 1.5. They shouldn't feel so smart because their team is not very good in its current iteration. Still without Gordon Hayward. Still without Mark Williams. But, gotta say, LaMelo Ball questionable. That bodes pretty well for his status here against San Antonio. So, what do we do here? You could wait. You could chill. But I kind of like betting San Antonio in this spot. Again, LaMelo questionable. Doesn't guarantee that he's going to play. He's been out since mid-November. It is what it is. Something to pay attention to here, but is he still going to be that guy who can go out and make the difference? I mean, for me, it just comes down to Wembanyama. They haven't really had to unleash him, but I will throw this out there too. He hasn't been medically cleared to play on back-to-backs yet. They have a back-to-back. They play on Friday and on Saturday. So long as Wembanyama is playing on Friday, I expect 26, 28 minutes from him in competitive spots like this. Maybe 24 if Pop's feeling really, really aggressive. I know every NFL coach of Pop's age is like hit and eject. Again, if you had that much money and that much success as Nick Saban, I have no problem with you getting on your yacht and riding off into the sunset. Bill Belichick, he's a crazy person. He's going to keep coaching somewhere, it sounds like. But Pete Carroll, again, was the oldest coach in the NFL, which is pretty wild to think about. That is the job of Pop here on the other side here in San Antonio in a rebuild year. I don't know what to make all this. But yeah, Wembanyama playing a lot of the 5 here. Zach Collins will be out, so no backup 5 for him. Probably looking at Dominic Barlow coming in there. Played 22, 24 minutes respectively the last two. Those were obviously blowouts. So what are we doing here? San Antonio money line? Can I interest you in such a thing? This is a gross slate, friends. 2 games to go. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell as we get to my favorite play of the day. And yet it is not a lock. We have Toronto plus 2.5 taking on the Utah Jazz. And shout out to the Utah Jazz for just wrecking souls lately. If you watched that Denver game, which obviously I did, I was heavily on Nikola Jokic to triple-double. He was well on pace to do so, had 6 assists at half, ends up getting the double-double in rebounds pretty quickly, but doesn't have an assist through the third quarter because nobody on his team could hit a shot because Utah showed up defensively, have a lot of guards they can rotate through, and are perfectly damn healthy. I don't think that can be understated enough. As for Toronto, Pascal Siakam questionable yet again. That is a big deal to this team because Jakob Poeltl already out. Their front court depth has been lacking, and it was the very obvious thing that got them in major trouble against the Lakers. Anthony Davis just wrecked through everybody. And then you go up against Clippers, and they just basically, Zubats just like held the ball above Thad Young like this. Just insane outing. Both those games were very competitive, so shout out to Toronto for that. But I don't know what to make of this run that Utah has now been on, but I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. They go out and just put a slacking on Denver. They beat up on Milwaukee in Milwaukee with Giannis. They beat up on Philly in Philly. They end up losing to Boston. They got blown out. Might have been the best case scenario in the middle of that road trip for what it's worth. Again, losing to Boston, never a bad thing. Obviously, not the version of Boston that played basketball on Thursday. But anyway, Utah. I like the money line here up against Toronto. We have been backing Emmanuel quickly. The books have obviously been much more aggressive on that PRA. They do have this weird starting lineup configuration. I do think there's a chance, at least a chance, that you see John Collins come. No, that's not going to happen. They're going to keep starting John Collins here in this spot. And Walker Kessler playing very limited minutes. Should be able to do whatever he wants. Him and Kelly Olynyk should be able to just absolutely destroy the front court of Toronto if there's no Pascal Siakam. Even if there is Pascal Siakam, it's not like he's a true center by any leaps and bounds. They are missing Jakob Poeltl. Take advantage. Utah money line. Put it in your parlays. What you know about parlay and move along. Last game of the night. Here we go. The Pelicans taking on the aforementioned Denver Nuggets. And wild situation because the numbers got ripped off the board on the Pelican side. So you can see money line, total, none of that showing up here at this point in time. So apologies, not much I can do about that. You get CJ McCollum downgraded to questionable, and that popped up, is what it is. The opening line was Denver -6.5. For what it's worth, if you care about such things, 230.5 was the total. So there you are. Those are your specific numbers that the open was. But again, we're not going to put in bad numbers here because it's probably not going to be available until it reconfigures and moves a point or two based on whether they believe CJ McCollum sits in this spot or whether he ends up playing basketball. Now, Zion Williamson, also questionable, ended up playing through that white quad contusion. Hunting rabbits. Right quad contusion. Way to speak, Eric. Zion Williamson, definitely going to be another true game time decision more than likely, but considering he played the last one, I lean towards him being in for this one. But all of that being considered, I think this is a low number because we have props from the Denver Nuggets side of things. And Aaron Gordon, 22.5 PRA up against the Pelicans. He obviously is going to have a matchup with either Zion or, in some capacity, Herbert Jones. I don't look at individual matchups all that much. Obviously, Herbert Jones is a dude who can play defense. And obviously, CJ McCollum would help in terms of the pace of this basketball game. But Aaron Gordon has baselines of 14, 6.5, and 3. 14, 6.5, 3. 14, 6.5. That's 20.5 and 3. That's 23.5. And it just so happens his opening number is 22.5. And Denver needs to start playing some basketball because, again, the West, how the West was won. You want teams to go through your city to repeat here. You're now the 3 seed at 26 and 13. Minnesota's having this unbelievable run. Not that they're that far away from it. And Oklahoma City is obviously ridiculous. So Minnesota, OKC looking really good. Denver needs to start making some moves. They need to probably make some moves to increase this bench. Definitely missing Bruce Brown Jr. this season. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But no but about it. Aaron Gordon, 22.5 PRA is a low number. Obviously, just 1 point above from the baseline, but you can factor in the pace, you factor in the opportunity here, and the fact that, well, Denver is tightening up the rotation sooner rather than later. You can't have all of these minutes for random dudes. You can't have Justin Holiday even playing double-digit minutes. You do not want Justin Holiday playing double-digit minutes. So yeah, increase in minutes here in a bounce back spot, over 22.5 PRA for one Aaron Gordon. Let's get out of here. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. So you know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board from this insanely little 10-game slate we got before us. Of course, I'm going to keep you guys apprised of anything over on X. If you hit me up at Eric Lindquist, I will answer your questions, no doubt about it, friends. But I'm going to get myself the heck up out of here. Check out BetMGM if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. But $10, you deposit $10, you bet $5 of that, get $158 in bonus bets. Right meow. Thank you to producer Jacob here. Let's get ourselves the heck up out of here. Hopefully I have a couple of locks there for the premium Discord coming down the pipeline on Friday. Been a pretty dormant betting card the last couple of days, although thank you to Cleveland. Oh, bonjour. Ended up starting the day off right here. Hopefully we can finish it right as well here on Thursday night. But until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Friday. Have a great weekend.